eating poetry. Ink runs from the corners of my mouth. There is no happiness like mine. I have been eating poetry. The librarian does not believe what she sees. Her eyes are sad. She walks with her hands in her dress. The poems are gone. The light is dim. The dogs are on the basement stairs and coming up. Their eyeballs roll. Their blonde legs burn like brush. The poor librarian begins to stamp her feet and weep. She does not understand. And I get on my knees and lick her hand. She screams. I am a new man. I snarl at her and bark. I romp with joy in the bookish dark. And later on, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, I wrote a series of poems called 5 Dogs. But I'll only read you the first 2 of those 5. 1. I, the dog they call Spot, was about to sing. Autumn had come. The walks were freckled with leaves, and a tarnished, moonlit emptiness crept over the valley floor. I wanted to climb the poet's hill before the winter settled in. I wanted to praise the soul. My neighbor told me not to waste my time. Already the frost had deepened, and the north wind, trailing the whip of its own scream, pressed against the house. A dog's sublimity is never news, he said. What's another poet in the end? And I stood in the midnight valley, watching the great star fields flash and flower in the wished-for reaches of heaven. That's when I, the dog they call Spot, began to sing. The second of these dog poems. Now that the great dog I worshipped for years has become none other than myself, I can look within and bark, and I can look at the mountains down the street and bark at them as well. I am an eye that sees itself look back, a nose that tracks the scent of shadows as they fall, an ear that picks up sounds before they're born. I am the last of the platinum retrievers, the end of a gorgeous line. There's no comfort being who I am. I roam around and ponder fate's abolishments until my eyes are filled with tears, and I say to myself, oh, Rex, forget, the stars are out, the marble moon slides by. Shooting whales. When the shoals of plankton swarmed into St. Margaret's Bay, turning the beaches pink, we saw from our place on the hill the sperm whales feeding, fouling the net in their play and breaching clean so the humps of their backs rose over the wide sea meadows. Day after day we waited inside for the rotting plankton to disappear. The smell stilled even the wind, and the oxen looked stunned pulling hay on the slope of our hill. But the plankton kept coming in, and the whales would not go. That's when the shooting began. The fishermen got in their boats and went after the whales, and my father and uncle and we children went too. The froth of our wake sank fast in the wind-shaken water. The whales surfaced close by. Their foreheads were huge. The doors of their faces were closed. Before sounding, they lifted their flukes into the air and brought them down hard. They beat the sea into foam, and the path that they made shone after them. Though I did not see their eyes, they were like the eyes of morning, glazed with rheum, watching us, sweeping along under the darkening sheet of salt. When we cut our engine and waited for the whales to surface again, the sun was setting, turning the rock-strewn barrens of gaudy salmon. A cold wind flailed at our skin. When finally the sun went down and it seemed like the whales had gone, my uncle, no longer afraid, shot aimlessly into the sky. 3 miles out, in the rolling dark, under the moon's astonished eyes, our engine would not start, and we headed home in the dinghy, and my father, hunched over the oars, brought us in. I watched him, wrapped in his effort, rowing against the tide, his blonde hair glistening with salt. I saw the slick spillage of moonlight being blown over his shoulders, and the sea and spindrift suddenly silver. He did not speak the entire way. At midnight, when I went to bed, I imagined the whales moving beneath me, sliding over the weed-covered hills of the deep. They knew where I was. They were luring me downward and downward into the murmurous waters